Good morning, guys. It is early. um, I probably will not be able to be on hot topics later today. We've got neighbors doing stuff, and my dogs, one that you can see right here, they're gonna go nuts. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get them to stay quiet while I am on hot topics. So I might not be doing hot topics. Hi, Kelly. Um, so I'm finishing up the um denim stocking stuffers. I've got to make three of them. I'm doing one for my mom, my aunt, and one for my son's girlfriend. But I actually wanted to talk about a story here. Let me Let me bring it up. Okay. Alrighty. So, oh, let me see if I can do this here. There we go. All right. So this is OU Damn it. Sorry. Uh, I hate ads. Seriously, I need to I need to get an ad blocker. No, don't go to Liquid IV. Um. Anyway, psych student basically fills a paper and then tries to scream discrimination. A University of Oklahoma psychology student is challenging a failing grade after submitting a gender roles reflection essay that heavily referenced the Bible, sparking debate over free speech, academic standards, and the role of personal belief in college coursework. I can tell you right now, there is no way in hell I could have used the Bible as a source unless I was using it for like a literary source or my topic had something to do with the Bible. Samantha Folnecki, I guess, a junior psychology major, submitted a 650 word reaction paper in a course assignment asking students to reflect on societal expectations of children and children. Or gender and children, sorry. The instructions allowed students to incorporate personal experience, perspective, but emphasized thought engagement through the original article. Folnecki's essay leaned heavily on biblical teachings to argue for traditional gender roles without inciting empirical research or quoting specific scripture. That alone, even if this was an assignment that you could use the Bible as a source on, should get you a failing grade right then and there. You can't just say the Bible says so and therefore done. The graduate assistant grader gave the essay a 0, noting that it contradicts itself, heavily uses personal ideology over empirical evidence, and contains passages that are offensive. The student claims a failing grade amounts to religious discrimination and a violation of her free speech rights. Okay. So, whoops, hang on. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this. There we go. No, there. Woo! Okay. Sorry. So, you have a student that puts up a presumably horrific essay with really shit opinions and then wants to sit there and scream discrimination whenever she gets a 0 on it. Honey, you are 62% of the country. Christians make up 62% of the country. You are not being discriminated against. Get the fuck off it. Like, it baffles me that they think that they can just put the Bible said so and therefore everyone should buy it. Like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how anything works. It drives me absolutely mad that the second they get into even a smidge of trouble, they want to start screaming discrimination. It's not discrimination, it's your shitty work that got you that grade. I never gave like just horrific grades. I never gave horrific grades like that, but I sure as hell would, especially if they were deserved. And it really sounds like this one was deserved. But oh my god, dude, like, wow. This reminds me, Dan McClellan covered this a while back, but there was this girl who read a sentence in her college textbook, and it said something like, identity is one of the most contentious words with modifiers such as gender, sexual, corporate, and list a couple other things. And the last thing said, and even Christian, a white supremacist organization in the US. What they were talking about is a very specific thing called Christian identity, which is white supremacist. Anybody with 2 brain cells would know. If you don't know what Christian identity is, maybe go Google it before you go ballistic. And Kelly says they feel because their people are allowed to have the right to worship or not worship in the same way they do, they feel they are being discriminated against is crazy. Yes, absolutely. It's one of those things that they will go wild if, for instance, Satanists want to put up a Satanist statue in the Capitol. Well, you know what? You're trying to put up the 10 Commandments so we can do this. And they just go, they lose their freaking minds and scream that they're being discriminated against. My dude. Like, you guys are the majority. But anyway, so this girl, like, just went absolutely ballistic about blah, 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 Christian identity. I'm a Christian, blah. And anyway, once she discovered that she got it wrong, and did multiple posts about how she got it wrong, but she was still offended and blah, 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 went on Fox News a month later and just outright lied about the situation. I expect nothing better from Fox News, but gross. Just gross. Ugh. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that story. Thanks, Kelly. She says, nice hoodie. Yes, this is my I'm just here for the tangent shirt, which is kind of what we're doing today. You can get this over at Ember's store on Better Than Ember. They are super comfy. And yes, I know I look like a mess. I literally woke up like 30 minutes ago. And because the neighbors are coming over and doing their fence and all that, I'm just like, well, if I'm going to get streaming, I might as well just do it this morning. So I am not a morning person. Oh, Kelly says, don't judge me. I faithfully watched Fox News for years. I don't, because I get that a lot of people did not understand what they were doing and where their loyalties actually lie. The thing that I am happy about, though, is that realize that at this point and are now starting to actually pay attention. Yeah. Okay, so just like I showed you yesterday, I glued this down so I can make a loop for the keychain. Now I'm just wrapping it with some embroidery thread to secure it. Okay, now there we go. Okay, come here. Sometimes trying to get these nails to go through is a bit of a pain. Especially on like super thick denim. Okay, well, you know what then? I just won't do that. And I'm just going to tie a very secure double knot. I have no idea what the actual name of that knot is, but it holds pretty secure. All right, and there's number 2. I still haven't finished the beading on the other one. I'm going to do that at some point today. But my okay, hang on. Let me there we go. Yeah, I get the talking to yourself thing. Exactly, Kelly. But yeah, so they I don't understand. They want to sit there and say that we're discriminating and that we're doing all this horrific things to them. They are the majority of the country. They own literally every uh, part of the government right now. They are trying to institute a theocracy, and they have the balls to scream discrimination. uh, Kelly says, "How did you get started into doing crafty things? How did you know you like doing things like this?" Um, Honestly, I've kind of always been this way. My dad was very, very crafty too, and so with him, he just kind of taught me to do it too. Um, and it just kind of became a thing with us. My mom, on the other hand, is not the least bit crafty. She could not craft something to save her life. So, yeah, I think I pretty much got from my dad. I think this nail's going to be too big for these. Maybe. Oh, yep. Okay, so I've got these really cool little stone beads that I'm going to string up and put down the center. I don't think that needle's going to be big enough either. Damn it. Um. Hmm. Nope. It's gonna be there. Damn. Um, they're a lot smaller. What are you doing? What are you doing? Um, Never mind. There it is. Yeah, that's way too small. I bet you though. Let's do this instead. Let's just split this up. So yeah, my dad started crafting. I started. So I've always been pretty crafty. My grandmother was a excellent seamstress. I started crocheting in my mid-teens, or not crocheting. Wow, sorry. I started knitting in my mid-teens. Um, and I've been knitting ever since. I haven't featured any knitting or anything on this channel yet, but that's because knitting is usually. Kid, will you stop? Is usually a longer term project. And if I see something I really 9 times out of 10, odds are that's not gonna work. Odds are I can um usually figure out how to make whatever I want. Okay, that one might work. Um, sorry. Ooh, okie dokie. Kelly says I'm like your mom. Yeah. My mom. I love my mom to death, but I have tried to explain to her what I'm I've tried to explain to her what I'm doing, and she just gives me this look like I'm absolutely nuts. And then she's shocked when I can actually do it, and I'm like, ugh. Like I've knitted myself. I kid you not, a shelf for a yarn wall. And like, of course, there were like sticks and stuff in there that I had to put up to give it some structure. But like, all the shelves were knitted, and it took me a while to do those. Okay, I hope this nail works because if this one doesn't, then I am SOL because I don't know where my other needles are at the moment. Ah, there we go. Yay! All right, so I'm doing purple and probably some white and clear for this one. This one is going to my son's girlfriend, and her favorite colors are purple. So, like I said, this is just stocking stuffers. So after every 5 beads or so, I really want to punch the needle through because I don't want it like getting so like loose that it's like flapping around. And then there's that. And the cool thing is I can actually use the seam stitching on the back to make sure that this is secured and not go anywhere. There we go. So, see? And now I'm going to do one with 4. Because I do not have as many purple as I thought I did. I know I've got them around here somewhere. I just, don't know where. But I've always been the type that it's like, I love to make stuff. So, that's good. But, yeah, that, Kyle had covered that story yesterday, and it annoyed the crap out of me to the point that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to cover that too. Because it infuriates me. It infuriates me that they sit there and they scream discrimination all because of the fact that we basically want to be left alone. Like, I have put it out there before that I'm relatively anti-theist, but I'm only anti-theist in the sense that if you come at me with your religion, we're gonna have a problem. If you keep it to yourself, fine. Like, if you keep it to yourself, and I still think, like, that's a problem, but it's a less of a problem than you trying to force everybody else to follow your religion. Your religion dictates your actions, not mine. But, and yes, for anybody wondering, I live in Texas, so I live in the middle of the Bible Belt. So I am definitely a little atheist dot floating in a sea of Christian here. I know a couple atheists out here, not too many, but I know a couple at least. And also one thing I had to explain to somebody yesterday that I know, just because you're atheist, it doesn't say anything else about anything else except for the fact that you lack a belief in God. Like, that's it. I don't know. Does someone? Yeah, it does. Okay. Doesn't say anything about your feelings on um oh my god, I just went blank. It doesn't say anything about your feelings on, like, say, supernatural crap like ghosts and aliens and shit like that. I mean, most that I know tend to be very empirical and very rational. However, that's not exclusive, and that's not like absolutely exclusive. I know some who are kind of kooky that are still atheists, but most atheists I know are rationalists. And yeah, where's the hole? There it is. Yeah, so these were just like little teeny tiny stones that you'll see on some bracelets. Like, I've got a whole bunch of turquoise. I think I actually got this originally just for the turquoise because it was cheaper. But, alas. Alright. So I'm going to finish this one up and jump off of here. Come here. Wish I had more purple to put on here, but whatever. And that one doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit over my needle, I can't stick it on here. Yeah, Kelly says, I'm anti-theist as well. I'm not going to try to force people to not be religious, but if they come to me, I'm going to mention it that I think religion is bullshit and I don't fuck with it. Yeah. I'm exactly the same way. The only time that I'm not overly like that is with my family, and that's mainly because, like, with my mom, for instance, she doesn't mean anything by it. She will mention, like, religion to me occasionally, but she doesn't mean anything. She knows where I stand, and she's finally somewhat come to terms with it. But it's one of those things that it's one of the few things. She's probably the only person that I'm willing to let that go to preserve that relationship. But anyone else, if you get preaching in my face, I'm gonna get just like that back with you, and we will have a problem. Especially if you try to force your beliefs on me or my one of my sons. Yeah, we're gonna have a problem. I don't play that game. I like I've said, I grew up in a church, and a pretty strict church, to be honest. Grew up in a pretty strict church. Grew up very I grew up very, very basically going to church 6 days a week, because we didn't have chapel once a week. We had a single day at school. It was terrible. So what we would do instead of doing that on Saturdays, at least Saturdays I got off. I don't think my parents realized how not good all the church stuff was. And luckily I got out of it when I was an early teen, or mid-teens, I guess. So there's the one with the beads down the center. I still need to do the beads on the sides for this one, but I wanted to show you that too, with the stones down the center. So I wanted to show you guys that, and I wanted to talk about that story because it's been bothering the crap out of me since last night. And then I started seeing everybody and their dog doing stories on it too. So I'm like, well, okay, let me get in there. That being said, thank you very, very much for showing up today. I don't know if I'll be on Hot Topics. I will see how the dogs are. Right now, they're all sleeping. Thanks, Jess. So I will see you guys probably I will probably do this at least once a week. I'm aiming for like twice a week, but the days are going to kind of change. It'll probably be early in the morning, so just keep an eye on it. All right. Okay, so I will